Now we're going to talk about a wonderfully uplifting game called Chaos in the Old World.
We recommend this for kindergarten to third grade, probably. Okay. This game has gotten a lot of acclaim as a fantastic strategy game. And one of the things that's very unique about this game is that there's up to four players can play it, and each player has a completely different way of playing. It's very asymmetrical. They have different amounts of units on the board, they have different powers, they have different cards. I mean, everything is different about it.
Yes.
And yet it feels fairly balanced. So that is a big positive about the game. Where some people might object is the theming of the game is slightly dark. I mean...
He understated that.
Well, in this game, you were playing one of the... What does it say you're playing here? Are they the Demons of Chaos?
Yeah, it says a board game of demons and dominance in the Warhammer world.
Yeah, you're playing one of these evil creature, god, demons, whatever they are, basically trying to destroy mankind faster than everyone else. Because you are basically doing that. You're destroying the land as time goes by. Well, does the theme not bother you? Do you not care? Do you think the theme is great? Either way, let's take a look at the game. Once again, this game is fairly complex, so I'm not going to be able to show you every detail on how to play the game. You can look up the rule book online. I just want to talk about some of my impressions of the game here and some of the basic features of the game. Now, in this game, it's very asymmetrical, which means each army is different. And by different, I mean completely different. Each army has three types of units. There's cultists, warriors, and greater demons. And you can see here, I mean it is a little confusing, probably so let's focus up a bit here. You can see, I'll just show you two of them, on how the numbers are different between them. Well, you can see that the cultists for these two armies, for Khorne's army and for Nurgle's army, Nurgle, are the same, 101, but then you see the blood letters on the top are 221, while plague bearers are 111, and then the 343 and 333. You can see that those numbers are different. Okay, and that's one difference of the game. Another difference of the game are these decks of cards. Each player has a deck of cards that they're going to be using and playing cards over the course of the game, and those decks are completely different. A third difference is each player has a way to advance their threat dial. We'll talk about this later. And that the dial advancement condition here, for Khorne, you place a counter on your dial each time you kill one or more enemy figures in the same region in the same phase. So each person has a different condition. And then even the army compositions are different. If you look here, here are the armies, and you can see that while the cultists are all the same model, the warriors and demons are different, but you can see there's different amounts of cultists and warriors for different colors. That's just the way there is. And then finally, each player has some upgrade cards that they'll be able to use over the course of the game that will allow them to upgrade their plague bearers and their cultists and their greater demon and either change the stats or give it a new special ability. And then there's some upgrades the army can have altogether. And so these are just some major differences between the armies so that every army is very balanced, but they're all very, very different. So if you're good at playing one army, you may be pretty terrible at playing the other. So here's the board, which it's a beautiful map here on some stretch skin, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. But let's look here at these threat dials. Now this is a pretty neat, nifty thing up here in the top. This is a pretty neat mechanic. Each player starts with a certain amount of threat, and this number here, there's a small number that it shows, and it's kind of hard to see in the camera, so we'll focus up on just one dial. You'll see there's a small number there. Those numbers are used to break ties or determine who goes first in different areas. And so you have a place where you start. For example, Nurgle will start here. And then each time you turn this threat dial by accomplishing whatever your goal might be, and whoever does the best at accomplishing their goal can advance their threat dial more than once. So see, the first time you score 3 victory points. Here you can remove a corruption. Here you get one of your upgrade cards. Then you score 3 victory points. Then another upgrade card. Then you can remove 2 corruption. Then another upgrade card. Then score 3 victory points. Then remove 2 corruption. And then you've won the game. So one of the ways of winning the game is by getting your threat dial there all the way to the top. And the threat dials are different. They have different conditions. They're different lengths. So you have to keep that in mind. Some players can do better at advancing their threat dial, but everybody can possibly do it. Now, what everyone is trying to do here over the course of this game is basically destroy these different areas on the board. Just destroy them. And you'll be doing that by sending cultists to different areas, and so that as the game goes by, different players will be using their cultists to put out threat in different areas, so that when an area has enough threat to destroy that area, it's gone, it's been destroyed. You know, we'll put a card there to show it's been destroyed, turn it over, and figure out how many points everybody gets. Whoever has the most threat in that area will get certain points. And so there's some very Euro aspects here as players are trying to get the most in. But at the same time, you may not want someone to have the most in, so you can always send in your armies and kill people and, you know, fight. There's rolling dice, and there's some different ways to attack with the different units. And I'm not going to get too much into combat, but it's dice combat, which is great. And players, the way the game is played is players are going to have a little dial here in front of them. And this shows basically how many action points they have on their turn. They'll keep a little token on it, and they'll move that down as they do action points. They can put different units out on the board that will cost points. Their cards will often cost, like this one here costs 3 to use. Although some of the cards that players will have will cost 0, like this one here is free to play. And players will be playing these cards in an attempt to turn things their way. They'll be drawing different amounts of cards. There will also be an old world deck of cards that's going to come into play, and these cards are going to change how the game is played. There might be a peasant uprising, and so peasant tokens on the board. Sometimes you have to go in and conquer an area so that you can go in. You know, it's not just fighting other players, and there's other tokens that can be placed throughout the board which will cause different effects. And again, I know a lot of this sounds very general, but basically it's an area control game with a lot of combat thrown in, but the biggest thing involved in this is how different each person plays. For example, Korn here, he's very strong. He can go in and destroy almost everyone. Does very well when he's attacking. And he can, just really smash his opponent in battle. While the purple dudes, and I can't remember the purple dude's name, Slanish, he's the Prince of Pleasure, and he has all kinds of cards that he can play that can do things, and he may not be so strong, but he can get corruption on the board and maybe finish his threat dial faster. So there's different ways to win. You can go until enough regions have been corrupted, or until someone reaches 50 points on the score board over here, and then whoever has the most points at that point is the winner, or the first person to get their threat dial finished is the winner. And so there's those two different victory conditions, and you have to keep an eye on both of them. Alright, talking about the gameplay first, I was fascinated with just how different each of the races were. The special abilities, I mean, the one race, the one that you liked the best was the Korn, just the power, and that's the way he likes to play.
I do.
To go in and smash the opponent, while I was playing more of a deceptive style one. And I almost pulled off a little, the victory on the side because of the just different ways that you can get points and such. But it's interesting how everything interacts.
Right.
Now, I haven't played this game with less than 4 players, so I don't know. But it seemed like with 4 players, everything really balanced well.
Yeah.
And the game, once you play a couple turns, I'm telling you, at first when you look at it, you're like, what is going on here?
Yeah, the board is very, I don't know, it's kind of static almost. It puts out all the different territories that you can go to and all that kind of stuff, but it was kind of very stale. Maybe is a better word for it. I didn't really enjoy the board that much at all. I think they could have done a little bit more with it. However, it works, and it's not confusing. It just doesn't look very well.
And there's a bit of mathiness to the game in a sense. It's kind of funny because this is a Euro game.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's combat.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's combat. It's a Euro game of combat, which is a little odd. But it's high quality. The miniatures are very good. The artwork is fantastically done. That being said,
fantastically nasty. I
don't like it at all. And I know if when you look below the YouTube comments here, you're going to see someone say, get over yourself stuff, but I'm sorry. There are some games that just go too far on the dark side, and this theme is one of those. I've always thought Warhammer was a dark universe, But this is the darkest corner of that universe.
This makes Warhammer 40K look like it was made for kindergartners.
Yeah, so I mean, I can see a lot of people out there, this probably does say 13, 13 plus, and that's probably the right. I just felt kind of, I don't mind playing bad guys. I play them all the time whenever we play games. I'm always the bad guy. Why is that?
I don't
know. But in this game, it just felt kind of odd. I mean, the board is human skin. You see intestines coming out of the people. It's all about killing and destroying innocent people. After a while, it just gets to you. However, I understand that there's people out there who won't mind that, and some people who enjoy it. I will say, taking the theme out of the picture completely, the gameplay is very good.
Yeah, it's a superbly done game. The
nuclear weapon countdown sequence is now.
Yes, so it's a superbly designed game.
That's the key. We need to go.
Countdown starts now.
No!
No!
Oh, and one more thing, we didn't get this game thumbs.
It already has enough.
Yeah, severed thumbs.
They're being used for necklaces and stuff like that.
I'm going to give this game 1 thumbs down for me. Okay, now look. Not because, I'm not giving it 2 thumbs down, because the game itself is good. For myself, personally, I just can't get over the theme, and I wouldn't find any enjoyment playing it. And let's say I'm playing it, and people come to my house and they say, what you're doing, I would feel really like, never mind.
Right. I'm going to go ahead and say 1 thumbs up, but I'm also going to give it a 1 thumbs down. And it is simply because you didn't give it a thumbs up. I gave it a thumbs up.
Oh, I see.
I also gave it a thumbs down because I enjoyed playing the game. The mechanics, all the different powers and stuff like that. I just like Tom said, I can't force myself to play demons all the time. And it's just too much for me. You can do whatever you want to do. I don't like playing the demon thing, all that kind of stuff. But the game itself, thumb up, thumb down.
So when they quote us, they're gonna say
they're not
1 thumb up, 2 thumbs down.
They're not gonna like that. That's okay. You don't have to like it.